in the toaster?
No, I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, the kids love them things. They're like crack. I can't keep them in the house because they eat the whole freaking box in like 10 seconds.
The video started. We talking about cookies and crack.
Well, that's a good way to start a video. Cookies, crack. Where do you think mummies come from? I mean, welcome back, everybody. Yeah. See you
Episode 70 of Breaking the Base. Narik and Ken are on the scene once again.
Isn't that how the best stuff is done, when it's just so impromptu and you have no idea?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just pulled that one off. Welcome back to the second hour, ladies and gentlemen. It is mummy time, because next week comes out the Tom Cruise movie, The Mummy, in which we tied into last week with the Universal monster movie series that's coming back to life. Mm-hmm. And this is the first of 6 films, give or take. Oh, some interesting news. Speaking of the universe there. They're talking to Dwayne Johnson about playing the Wolfman. How's that one for you?
Yes.
And they're also talking to Angelina Jolie about coming on for The Bride of Frankenstein.
No, at one point I would have been behind that, but after all this stuff that she's going through now, no.
Yeah, I just read that today, just since we're talking about Universal horror films and stuff, because we go back to we can go back to 1932 for some of our original mummy movies with Boris Karloff. 1940, 1942. We have, 1942, 1944, The Mummy's Tomb, Ghost and Curse with Lon Chaney Jr., another classic horror movie person that came back in. And we have many, many more movies. But here's, we were talking about that weird mummy jump, or like werewolves and stuff jumping.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest one right there.
We got from 1932 to 1955 was the original, most of the original movies. And then we bump up to 1959, so we only got a 4-year gap. But we have from 1959 to 1971 a series of different mummy movies every few years. And then we have that jump again from 1971 to 1999. That's a long jump.
Yeah.
In the mummy movies. We thought werewolves were bad. The Mummy is even worse. But it comes back with what we remember back, The Mummy back in 1999, which is the Mummy trilogy. The Mummy Returns, and The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed those. Those were pretty darn good.
That's what resurrected it.
That's
resurrected it.
They brought them all back and kicked it back into gear. And then, of course, we could side tie one of those into the Scorpion King, which tied off the second movie? Yeah.
The second.
Yeah, second movie of that series. And then, of course, there was a bunch of Scorpion King movies there, but we're not going to talk about those because really they don't count. That's just a side shot. Well, it really had nothing to do with the Mummy. It had to do with the Scorpion King. Like a totally different thing, with a bad CGI and everything.
We gotta forgive the CGI, okay?
That was horrible. I mean, that was some pretty cheesy CGI.
At least it had a pretty good bit of detail to it.
Yeah, but I mean, watch Transformers and then watch the Scorpion King. Okay. It was bad. It was very bad. I mean, I like the story, and I wish that was the one thing that I just wish was good. Sure, the little pygmy zombie things.
Everybody gets on that movie about that.
The little pygmy zombie things were cool, and they made me kind of scared. But then you got into the Scorpion King coming out, and you're like, what? And that was it. That was just a done deal.
King said they ripped them out of a video game.
I don't even think they had that much of an effect. That may have been like an Atari 2600. They pulled that thing out of it.
He said they would have done better if they'd have used that stop motion.
That's probably right. It would have looked a lot better.
Let me stop.
No, we can keep on going, but we don't want to do that. We want to talk about the Mummy.
I would ask you, are there any, like, if you could say if there are like the best ones because there are a lot of mummy movies that they're just swept under the rug. You don't hear most about. Now, the only ones that you really hear about, honestly, was the 3 mummy movies.
Well, yeah, because no one had really seen a movie since 1971.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in 1972, if that gives you any idea. So
there's only 2 that I could think of. No, I was the third one, but I'm trying to remember what it was. It was actually a decent movie. Just trying to remember it. One, there was a Disney movie called Under Wraps, and it featured a mummy in it.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah, it was decent. You know, it's a Disney movie, so it was kiddish, but it was an enjoyable watch.
Yeah, they just weren't very mainstay. You know, vampires, wolves, sure. You know, even Frankenstein had a little bit of a thing going on there, but you didn't get really into the Mummy, and literally until they came back with the trilogy in 1999. And that's what kicked it all off. In fact, you know, we're talking even a reboot now. I mean, you know, next week comes out the Tom Cruise movie, and it's a very different story. I mean, yeah, we have the same context. You know, wrong. I guess you would say an imprisoned, punished individual for doing wrongdoings. But we add the fact of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are part of the organization, you know, trying to keep them under wraps and keep them under control. So we add that to our story, and we tie it in with our Universal's Dark Universe tie-ins of all the other movies. So I will be very interested to see how the new Mummy movie, one, executes the Mummy. I mean, we've seen some clips already, and there's a lot of stuff on YouTube right now. The really cool thing is going to be the zero-G scene, because they actually really filmed a zero-G scene to do that.
Yeah.
They went on the Vomit Comet out of Florida. Yeah, he said, I want to do it for real. So they did. They sure as heck pulled it off. And it's really cool to watch them, how they film it. If you want to watch something really cool as a kind of warm up, go to YouTube and look up the new Mummy and look up zero-G. And it's a very cool scene. I think that's going to be interesting. So we'll see. But I'm just ready to see it. But, you know, we got a lot of movies coming out. In fact, Wonder Woman came out today, speak of which.
They had there's a movie anthology called Tales from the Dark Side, and they had a skit where it was Steve Buscemi, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
He resurrected as a mummy, and even though it wasn't like a big thing, I thought that little skit was actually pretty cool.
Well, there's been a lot of side stuff. I mean, you know, Hotel Transylvania came out, and they had the Mummy, who was pretty cool.
Yeah,
him and his wife. You know, great comedy series, a lot of good actors in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had for those who knew who Abbott and Costello are, you know, you had them in the Mummy movie. You know, Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy as a comedy horror movie. We've seen.
Did you know Bram Stoker had a Mummy book, I believe? Yeah, he had a book based on the Mummy too.
1903, called The Jewel of Seven Stars.
Yeah.
What a coincidence. You're reading the same thing I'm reading.
Bram Stoker's in everything. That's my boy. I need to highlight him on that.
He was all kind of into stuff.
Hey, all right. If you could give me some qualifications for a good Mummy movie, what would it be?
Well, we always have to have a curse.
Mm-hmm.
We always have to have some poor soul who got mummified for something stupid.
Should it be? Should they be the protagonist? Should they be a good guy or a bad guy? Because in almost every incarnation, it's most likely been a bad guy most of the time.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Now, originally, when we see let's go back to the Mummy movies in the '99 series. You know, with Brandon Fraser and all that. That Mummy was an evil bad dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Trying to take over the place. All right, so, but he was already done that way. Now, if we go back to the original movies, the Mummy really wasn't a bad guy. It was just protecting its resting place, or its secrets, or whatever the case was. It was just an automaton protecting itself, or protecting something, and it wasn't really a good guy or a bad guy. You know, it was just reactive.
I can get behind that one.
Well, and most of the Mummy movies, if you look at them, I mean, the original Mummy movie, That's exactly kind of what it was. You know, you had Imhotep. Archaeologists find it, end up bringing him back through a magic scroll in this case. And he's actually looking for this, and this is more of the story that we see in the 1999 version, you know, looking for his lost love, who's been reincarnated. Well, in this case, they kind of, you know, embellished a little bit that he was actually more of a bad guy being punished for loving the emperor's, not emperor, what's the word I'm looking for here?
I think it was more the fact he killed the emperor.
he ended up killing him because he saw her arms had been touched.
Yeah.
And so he had nothing to do but react, and that's how he got punished.
Yeah.
You know, but the original 1932 film, that's what it was. And then, you know, you got a bajillion, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not counting the, you know, Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy in 1955. But basically the same thing, you know, Curse of the Mummy, the Mummy's Ghost, all kind of has some tie-in to protecting, you know, they break into something they're not supposed to, and the mummy's coming back after him. And this game makes it more of a bad guy, but really the mummy to me is more just a defensive mechanism, basically. If the curse don't get you, the mummy will, you know.
I can actually get behind that. I want to ask you this too. What we did say was how the Mummy in the 1999 movie reinvented how we see about the mummies, and you see that in the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and you see that in the new Mummy movie where the mummy now has powers. In the original, he didn't have powers.
No, yeah, he's an animated corpse.
Yeah, he was, you know, maybe impervious to pain, and probably had, you know, a little bit extra strength. But
yeah,
he wasn't
supernatural, you know, supernatural badass, you know.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like, you know, like now, what they get to manipulate different elements. They can shapeshift. They got super strength.
But see, she was, you know, but the new one's even adding more,
yeah,
you know, to it. And at what point though do we step above what we would consider a mummy movie? You know, is she more? The reason she's a mummy is because she was a sorceress beforehand, and then get, you know, just like Imhotep in the last movie.
Yeah,
you know, Imhotep was a practicer of magic, and that's how he ended up, you know, preserving himself until he could get found later. It's the same thing, but even more powerful this time. But it's not a man; it's a female in this case. You know,
that was like Jet Li's character in Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. He had, not only could he like manipulate the elements, he could shape. You saw he shapeshifting all of those different monsters and stuff.
We had a sorceress working for him to do his bidding, and then he learned some of that.
Yeah,
and she cursed him and his army.
Of course, he knew martial arts.
Well, yeah, it's Jet Li, of course. It's like Chuck Norris and ass kicking. I mean, come on.
Like, every character is going to have some type of martial arts reference to it. I don't care if he's chopping up food. I don't care if he's kicking a football. It's going to be some kind of martial arts reference.
Yep.
But
and it happened to be, you know, in ancient China, you know, that it all happened. So it all worked out.
And I actually this too. Like, do you think like nowadays, since things are more modern, that they have to have these abilities? Like, can we just have a traditional mummy-like corpse just run around kicking people's butts for being douchebags and messing with his or hers property or lost love or revenge or whatever motivation? Like, could you see that being like, okay, just there's a zombie now? You know,
I don't think modern movie people can enjoy a movie like they did in 1932. I just don't think. I mean, people who would see it now would be like, "Whoa, I would have never thought of that." But you know what? It was done in 1932.
Yeah.
You know, people demand more in their movies. They don't want to go see just a plain Jane movie. They have to have some, I don't know, I mean, you know, they're always looking for special effects or they're looking for magic or something. They just can't have a story that's just simply somebody found a tomb, they opened it up, activated the curse, the mummy comes and takes them out until the mummy's satisfied that everything's protected, and it goes back.
I think it's kind of like what you were just saying, that I think now we're thought of as being more faster paced, and like back then, it felt more slower paced in a way. Like back then, you could probably see somebody react to like a mummy or something like that, but like now, we wouldn't just be shocked. You know what I mean?
Because people have been desensitized. I mean, just look at in general at your movies. Horror movies, as we were just talking last hour, and zombie movies. I mean, the original zombie movies, the original 1940 or 50 version was simply people with white powder on their face walking around scaring people. And then they stepped it up to where they were biting people. And then now they stepped it up to where it is literally, people being ripped apart and you're watching their eye sockets and all their nerves and stuff come out of their brains. It's because people want more spectacular stuff, and they're not so much worried about a story. They're more worried about how bad that guy just died, or that character just died. And I don't think people. I mean, there's probably a few, but see, the movie people are going, we must have these $100 million visual effects bonanzas to sell a movie, because our people are demanding. Look at the video games that we play. Look at just TV commercials in general. Everybody wants something super spectacular, and I don't think they could just process a simplistic movie.
Yeah, I heard that train. I stay by the train tracks now, so y'all might hear another one swing through here.
My house, it's pouring ass rain right now.
Hey, but it was fast. So whoop.
Lucky you. Hope it don't derail.
Hey, don't say that, man. I'm gonna come back and get you.
Welcome to the neighborhood. Oh, is that Madam B over there?
Yeah. Say hey, Madam B.
Hi.
Staying off the camera, huh? Don't want to come out and show your smiling face to everybody. Come on in. Everybody can see Madam B. She makes guest appearances. Oh, come closer. Look, there you are. Oh.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna see more of her when we start breaking down, doing more videos. Like I said, now I got the webcam gonna be going hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and dude, that Bram Stoker's Legend of the Mummy, I did see that movie. It's been a while, but I did see it. It's got Louis Gossett Jr. in it.
Gossett Jr.?
Yeah, but I don't know how to say the guy's name.
Come on. I did see it. He was like Mr. Action there for a while. Louis Gossett Jr. He did all the God, man, he was in like every movie for forever and ever and ever, it seemed.
To me, he felt like another Morgan Freeman a little bit. Like he was on that kind of level a little bit.
He was like Mr. Action there for a while. He was doing like, I was trying to think of all the Iron Eagles, kind of where he jumped in, and then Enemy Mine. That's a good movie, by the way. If you like a really cool science fiction story, it's kind of old, but it's actually really good. It's called Enemy Mine. But he was in like all those movies, all the action movies of the early 80s and stuff. And then he just kind of faded away. And I guess he's been doing a lot of voice work and stuff. So, but he was a cool dude. Cool dude.
Oh, yeah, he was. Was he that alien?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that movie. Then him and Dennis Quaid.
Correct.
Yeah, I did see that.
That was actually a cool movie. I mean, it's old, but you know what? It's very cool. They had to get along. The Drac, I think is what they were called. Wow, I just pulled that out of my butt from 1985. That's crazy. I have a really strange memory. I always end up remembering the weird stuff. The most obscure things you could ever find.
I'm like considering, because I want to do some top 10 lists of the best and worst mummy movies, and I am disappointed that I haven't seen more.
But there's not that many. That's the catch.
I mean, there is.
I mean, if they tie it into like
Like right now, they have made one like 3 years ago, The Mummy Resurrected. It's probably gonna be a shitty movie, but hey, I want to check it out anyway. Day of the Mummy, 2014, probably a shitty movie, but I want to check it out too. And most of them, most of them are like way back when.
I'm literally counting 9 movies since 1932 of just let's just stick with the Universal style monster movies.
Yeah.
9 movies since 1932. That is not a lot. There's hardly any you could do a top 10 with in this point. Because there isn't any.
All right, Max, this question, because I like Tales from the Dark Side is on that. Bam. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry. All right. When it comes to a mummy movie, would you like to see it as a horror or would you like to see it as a thriller?
I think a thriller is better. Keeps you on your toes. Horror movie, again, most people want blood and guts and gore. I want story. So a thriller to me would be much more along my lines of enjoyment.
All right. If we had a mummy, if you could give it supernatural abilities, it doesn't have to be the biggest ones. Like if let's say you can give a mummy 5 supernatural abilities to put into your movie that you want for, a wish list or whatever, what would they be?
The ability to raise like mummy type characters, like we saw in the original Mummy, like Anubis type characters, or some type of minion.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's use the word minion, because I can't. It could be many different things. It could be jackals. It could be other zombie movie creature things, something along those lines.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like the ability for it to be able to transport or move it about some other way than walking.
Okay.
Hell, we're just talking about the Mummy movie right now because he was able to move around as a sand form.
Yeah,
in a Mummy movie. I would like them to have access to like some type of, well, it depends on the style of movie, but some type of weapon or artifact or something along those lines, something that they use to focus their ability. That'd be also kind of like their weakness too.
Yeah. Like a dagger or something.
Something, a gem or a necklace or a scepter, something that causes either them to be animated or gives them their ability or adds to them other than just them being a walking, critter. It gives them something to, do basically. And I don't think they necessarily have to be completely, the rotten corpse that we're used to, but maybe just well preserved or something, Maybe actually they can find the ability. Well, just like I was literally just talking about the Mummy movie, where he had to find his basically his body parts. They pulled out his heart, his lungs, his liver, and everything that they did as a standard practice. He ended up finding the people who took those and got them back to rebuild himself.
Yeah.
So,
awesome. That was some pretty cool scenes.
Yeah, especially when he got a hold of those dudes and just like sucked them down like a Slurpee and sucked their life force out of them. But literally, I walked right down and just described the movie altogether. Right out of the movie, out of the Mummy.
If I could pick 5 abilities, I would give my undead mummified creature. I would make it stronger than a regular person.
Of course, it got to be. They're supernatural.
Yeah. I would agree with you. Possibly summon either other mummies, golems, jackals, some type of minions so I can get behind that. I would like to see the like sand, like control the earth, like sand and stuff.
An elemental.
Yeah. But I would strictly put it down to just like dirt and earth and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That would kind of help like whoever he's dealing with to deal with him a little bit better. Maybe fire is a weakness, maybe water is a weakness. Also, if they're going to do the whole bandage thing, I wouldn't mind seeing some bandage manipulation. You run from me, I outstretch your arm, and then get your legs or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
It's cheesy. It's cheesy, but I can deal with it.
It's a very anime style that would be a very anime style of
yeah. I had to go anime with it for a second.
That's exactly what, that would be kind of trippy. It'd be something different you don't see.
Mm-hmm. And I probably would like to see. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you. Like you said, I would like to see if they're gonna be reanimated. I don't want them walking as a corpse the whole time. I want them through some type of means, which the characters have to stop them. Say if they're healing and they become whole, then they're unstoppable, and the characters have to figure out a way to stop them from completing that transformation. Like I wouldn't mind them as soon as you get brought back. They're trying to stop the fact that he, get whole, because when it becomes whole. But again, I kind of did describe the mummy.
Imhotep, there we go. See, it's so hard because you
want all their bases with him.
You want to see that. You want to see him not be a walking bag of bandages walking around. That's great. I mean, it was great in 1932 because they didn't have to spend a lot of money. Slap some clay on a dude and make his face all distorted and put some bandages around him, and he walks around like a stiff all the time. But what it was the suspense that got you. Yes. You would see like the leg dragging or a bandage left somewhere, and that the mummy's about to get somebody, but you don't know how they're going to get it. Dude gets snatched off and disappears.
I think the role of like the mummy is settled more down towards minion status. Because think about it. You have the mummy with Sofia Boutella. She's supposed to be this borderline godlike being.
Yep.
But I could honestly see her summoning mummy-like minions to.
I'm pretty sure we see that in the trailers already, because there's an underwater scene where you see some type of mummy-type creatures or whatever coming after them.
Mm-hmm. So, and then the thing about it is, mummies aren't just like wrapped up either.
No, it could be. I mean, it could be anybody preserved. The category of mummy was basically, even when Tuts and stuff were buried, their whole servant family was buried with them. Their cats, their dogs, everything, and all their servants were screwed. Man, you're like, oh, it's great to work for the Tut here, but when he dies, I am totally screwed.
Yes,
because you got packed up along with everything else.
Literally.
And
to the grave.
Exactly. Your employment literally went to the grave. So yeah, you could have all kind of stuff. I kind of like the Mummy, the reboot Mummy in '99, because they had those Anubis-looking characters with the big, cool bladed weapons.
Yeah, the double-bladed weapons.
Those look pretty freaking cool. That was awesome looking. You still had some other mummies and stuff too, but I mean, those were the cool, badass dudes of the movie. Swinging them double sword blade looking things and going at it. That was cool.
I did like the ones from the first one. They were like the soldiers, and they did the thing where they would roar and their mouth would get really big.
Yeah, the jackal. Yeah, jackals. That's what they were. They were jackals.
Because remember, Rick, they had to fight a couple of them on that bus.
Yeah.
I like those.
Blow that sand or whatever out on them.
Mm-hmm. And that's another example of how mummies aren't always necessarily wrapped up. Like those guys were. What would you say? Were they burned alive? I mean, were they burned? Was that ash?
They were just desiccated corpses, really, that he brought back.
Yeah, like you can easily remember some of those guys that I think were mummified. They were like put in I don't know if they died and the sand just settled over them.
Some probably did in wars and stuff like that. I mean, when they would have crazy things going on, there would just be bodies littered out, but they would just dehydrate out there and just be preserved, and the sand would just claim them. There's all kind of stuff. Just like watching the third Mummy of the series, all his enemies were buried at the Great Wall. Mm-hmm. They were either killed or just buried alive. So,
and even with his army, they all were just covered in that mud stuff.
Yeah, his army became the Terracotta Army. Is kind of what the storyline was. but all the people that were on the other general's side were killed and just buried at the bottom, just to prove his point that my enemies are my enemies, and I killed them and buried them. All the workers who built the wall, basically got buried there. They never went home. They just got buried there. So, that's how you were able to raise both of the armies, Terracotta and the other one. So,
yeah. And I did like the little Asian spin that they did put on that one.
That was very original. It was something they didn't expect, I mean, you had the general who was trying to take over the world and got imprisoned in his own clay army and buried alive, or, well, buried forever. So it was pretty cool, and the immortality of the mom and the daughter, from the Fountain of Youth up in the Himalayas. So they tied a lot of different things into that storyline, and it was quite enjoyable. I mean, it was very different. It was very original to me.
The only thing I had against that movie was just one thing:
the Abominable Snowman, huh?
No, not that. It was Rachel Wise wasn't in the movie.
Oh yeah, it's true. They changed her out.
I was like, no, and I'm usually a person that's like, okay, I could deal with it, but like that one, I was like, no.
Let's just do a trilogy and wrap it up, okay? Let's have her in a movie and just be done with it.
Maybe if they would have written her character out, like say she left him or something, and then this is like the new wife.
Possibly.
Maybe I could have got behind it. Yeah, I could have got behind it. But it was the same character. It was like, oh man, Evie. Yeah, they kept calling her Evie.
Yes.
How did you like the whole reference where it was basically she was reincarnated from what was
about the second movie where she was basically the Tut's daughter?
Yeah. How did you feel about that?
I see there gets to be some kind of hokey stuff in that, because you had Imhotep's girlfriend who was basically reincarnated later on, and then she was finally released. Even though her body was walking around, they actually brought her spirit out of the goop and reunited her spirit and a new body together. And then later on, she comes through in the magic moment of realizing, I'm actually the daughter of who fought you the last time.
Yeah.
Kind of got into the too coincidental moment to me.
I thought, if this, it was like fate. And I think that movie kind of harped on fate a little bit.
Yeah, they did definitely, because him going after the Scorpion King's bracelet, or excuse me, the Scorpion King's, what did he have? What was the Scorpion King? What did he have that they were needing?
It was the bracelet, right?
Well, the bracelet's what got him there and what released him. But there was something he had that he needed to complete his process.
I know Imhotep wanted to go there to kill the Scorpion King to take his army. And Rick went there because his son to save his son, because his son had that bracelet on.
Yeah, the bracelet was the latch release.
Yeah,
and the map to get to him.
And it also was going to kill him. He had to be there within a certain amount of time, or the bracelet was going to kill him. And his dad got him there just in time.
Yeah. But he would have gotten him. I gotta remember it now. He was going to get his immortality, I think, is what he was trying to finish up there, or the last of the immortality to finish it up to where he was.
Yeah, he was harping on getting that power, all that power too, because when he defeated the Scorpion King, then he would have been just like invincible.
He wouldn't have been stoppable anymore. He would have had all that ability and some.
Mm-hmm.
But that's basically why Imhotep was going there, is to kind of finish off the process and assure himself into his rightful place in basically history.
I'm asking this too. Do you think that the Mummy has, like, when it comes to the Wolfman, he's scary, he's menacing, he's ruthless. Okay, we can see that this guy's scary. Bam. We have Dracula. You see that this guy's scary when he wants to be. He's charismatic. This man is ruthless. He's cruel. He's manipulative. Okay, he's definitely on the monsters list. But what makes the Mummy so special? I mean, we could talk about Frankenstein. We'll talk about Frankenstein another time. In fact, we might do it next week.
What made the Mummy scary was, again, we have to go back to the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically the 1930s and early 1900s, all these tombs were being discovered, and the original people, the original explorers of the tomb, were having bad things happen to them. You know, they didn't understand microbiology at the time. They didn't understand what was happening to them. So they literally thought there was a curse. And that's what really inspired the movies. You know, once later on, you know, in the 1930s and 40s, they understood that, yeah, opening a tomb and sucking in all the fungus and mold does do bad things to you.
Yeah.
It makes you hallucinate. It makes you go crazy. Hell, it even killed, I don't know, probably 30 or 40 people by the time it was said and done, before they realized that you had to take a little bit smarter approach to opening tombs.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, you add now instead of being the curse of the zombie of being dust and dirt and bacteria, now we make it a guardian. We make it something that is not natural. It's undead. It's always seeking, you know, you violated the tomb. Now you got to pay the price.
Mm-hmm.
And what made that creepy was that you had a face to a faceless killer. You know, bacteria and stuff has no body. It just made people crazy and delirious. So now you have a form, a factor that you can focus on, and you add the scary part to it. You don't show the whole monster. You just show like pieces, parts here and there, kind of like building up in The Thing or some of our other classic monster movies that we have. And, you know, again, you see the stepping foot walking through the sand, and you know somebody's about to get jacked. You know, the mummy's on its home turf. It knows the place better than you. So these people are disappearing left and right. You know, it's that suspense that builds the character. You know, the other movies, you know, Wolfman or werewolves and vampires are driven. They're focused. Either you know, they know what they're doing. In this case, though, the Mummy is just pure, in this raw vengeance, protection, and vengeance is all it is.
You said you watched the Monster Squad. How was the Mummy in that movie?
The Mummy was just like that, a mindless minion. You know, it didn't have a lot of, you know, there wasn't a lot of, the Mummy didn't talk, the Mummy didn't have any special powers. It just ended up being right where it needed to be at the right exact time. And, you know, that's how it was. And it just, you know, there wasn't a lot of character development for the Mummy. It was just the Mummy, classic Mummy character. But, you know, but that's what made the Mummy in 1932 and 1940s. You know, now we have to have something more significant. We have to have a thinking mummy. Imhotep now in this case is somebody who's smart, who's intelligent, who got punished, and now he wants revenge and he wants power. So you bring this character to life, seeking all the stuff that he was looking for before, but now instead of the 18 and 1700s and all that, it's what, 1913 or something like that when he comes to life.
Yeah.
So boom, you know, you have, you know, 100 years, 1,000 years, this character comes back and is trying to acclimate to a new world, seek what he needs, and get his revenge upon those who are no longer there. I mean, they're all dead. They've been dead for centuries.
And of course, most likely try to go for the descendants.
Yeah. So I mean, well, if he did, I mean, you know, it's that could have been an extension to the movie, but in this case, you know, he's just trying to get his power and get his foothold and take over Egypt again, like he was originally doing 1,000 years ago. He has no concept of how the world has changed in 1,000 years. You know, he just knows that there's new transportation. Okay, all right, it's a train. He doesn't know that. He's just using it to get where he needs to go. He's using his minions who know the new world that are getting him where he needs to go.
Yeah. It even says this in this little article that I'm looking at. The Mummy, the original Mummy, was a tragic monster in the same vein as Frankenstein. And unlike most mummies that came after, Carlos Imhotep was no mindless beast. No, Imhotep was a magic user and a thinker and a mortal creature that used guile and shadow to inflict his will. And he did it all for love.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can get behind that. That was one thing I did think that made Imhotep more human, was the fact that he did do this for love.
Well, even at the end of the second movie, you know, he realized that he couldn't win anymore. His girl basically ran out on him, left him, and he just said, screw it, you know, I'm done.
Yeah.
But before that, he
That's
was moving to get her back and get his empire back, or get his empire. And then, the one thing that he wanted the most walked off, ran away from him in his time of need. And he's like, it's not worth it anymore. There's no reason for me to live anymore. Everything I wanted is just wasted.
Yeah.
And a tragic character, he was a badass. He was vicious. He did horrible things throughout both of the first two movies. And then, literally just said, screw it. I'm dead. So
that was like this movie called Under Wraps, where this mummy was discovered by these 12-year-old kids, and he woke up. And it was kind of funny because it was Halloween, so he did fit in. And these kids are trying to save him from this bad, the Disney bad guys. Like, could you see this movie? Could you see The Mummy being a comedy? It already, although it is horror / thriller, if you want to go that way, or monster movie, it does somewhat border romance on some points. Because remember we was talking about the creature from the Black Lagoon. Do you feel that same way? Like, okay, a mummy can also be inspired to love, and a mummy, it can be lonely, and it can want someone to be there.
Sure. Very easily. I mean, that was the whole point of the creature of the Black Lagoon. It wanted somebody to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody else left, and it got really attached to her and said, hey, you can be my fish queen. But, the Mummy in the original movie, it was a love story, basically, just like the second movie, is kind of a love story per se. That's how it started.
Yeah.
So I don't see why not it couldn't be. I mean, they were people. They had to have something. They had a driving force. There had to be something to them, and they just weren't, buried for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
They could have you could have a whole series of like the Mummy family. The Tut is reanimated, his wife's reanimated, they got their kids, and they could be a mummy family at a time.
Yeah, that's like that movie Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah, you can do all kind of weird stuff with the storyline, because there's not a whole lot of mummy movies out there. I mean, we see them in character movies like The Monster Squad. We see them in Hotel Transylvania as a comedy role.
Yeah,
and in the classic movie Monsters, we're talking about the Universal Dark Universe reboot. The Mummy is the first one out the bat. Trying to bring it back in. So I suspect we will probably see some more mummy movies or something very similar along those lines over the next year or two, depending on how successful this movie comes out next week. I think it's going to be very successful. I was kind of like, I don't know. Tom Cruise is going to be running a movie. I don't know. But then they started adding in the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. And then they had, there's a bunch of extra stuff behind the scenes. So it wasn't going to be just like watching Tom Cruise's not Tom Cruise, but the 1999 reboot with the Mummy. So there's going to be some familiar elements in this movie, but I like the underlying story, and I think that's what's going to draw me into watching this movie, with the tie-ins to the dark universe that they're trying to reboot.
Okay.
Wow, that was a lot to say.
Hey, no, man. That's good, man. We can't try to hear what you're saying, bud.
That's deep, man. But I do like it. I like the fact that that Universal is bringing back the classic movie monsters. I enjoy it, and I'm very excited with the Mummy. I'm going to be very excited to see how they play Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde into this. I'm very excited to see if they might bring The Rock into the werewolf movie. It would be interesting. He's a good character. He's a good person. He fits the build.
I would say, well, I don't know. I would probably say Dwayne Johnson had to play maybe like Frankenstein or something. I don't. But no, you say he was going to be the Wolfman, right?
He's going to be. They're asking him to be the Wolfman right now.
Okay, never mind. My bad. I thought you said the Mummy for a second.
No. They gender bended the Mummy in this case, which is fine by me. I think it's a very interesting reboot.
And she's hot.
Yes, and she's not bad looking at all. As long as she has those razor blade feet like she had in Gazelle. Her little bouncy feet.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. That was, and Kingsman 2 will be coming out soon.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about that, man.
Kingsman's coming.
And then one last thing I wanted to add in on that. If y'all ain't seen Tales from the Dark Side, there is a mummy scene in there, and it was Steve Buscemi. Well, how would say the guy name? Dude was awesome though. He kept summoning the mummy to take care of people that had, hurt him. So there's another where you can see him as either being used as a tool of war, or which I would like to see see a movie where they actually summon mummies to actually inflict harm on others, rather than the mummy being reactionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would like to see somebody do that. But maybe they have that out there. I just hadn't seen it. But it is about to get to that time, guys. We thank you for joining me and Ken here on Breaking the Base, episode 70, where we're talking about the best and worst mummy movies. Even though they were kind of limited, we're going to definitely try to come back to this after watching some of this, either some of the older ones or some of the more recent ones. But we're definitely going to come back in and try to feel with bright, more open eyes when it comes to the zombie movies. Go ahead and stop this right there. Bam. But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us and something else. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining us. And in the comment section below, let us know what are the best and worst mummy movies are. Give us your thoughts, your opinions, and also do me a favor, do us a favor, hit that like, share, subscribe, and notification button so that way you can know what, when, where, and what kind of videos that we're going to be uploading on this channel, because like I said, we're going to be getting up on it. We're going to be getting on them hard. So go ahead and enjoy this content while you can. And guess we'll just see you guys later. And I think his thing froze. Anyways, we'll see you guys later.